Hey guys, welcome back. So we got our next guest. We got Ryan, who's a Miami sports page on Instagram. Ryan, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Good, thanks for coming on. Ryan, this is a question I like to ask most guests. All guests, sorry. Who are you and what can you tell us about you?
Well, currently, actually, I'm in college at the University of South Florida. I'm actually studying to work in sports. I've worked in
Nice.
sports, really for a couple years now. Worked with the Miami Heat for internship with them for a little bit. Currently, work with the football team here at the college I go to. And yeah, just and enjoy all sports, any type of sports, and enjoy talking about sports as well. Actually, I had a
Yeah,
podcast myself for a little bit with a friend of mine, but we've kind of taken a break from it. But yeah, no, I enjoy talking sports and glad to be on.
yeah, awesome, man. Glad to have you on. So I'm gonna get right here into the Marlins, for a little bit. I know the Marlins were rumored to go after Yoli Gurriel from the Houston Astros for a while. Um, to do you think that was a move to kind of replace Garrett Cooper at first base, or do you think that was like a platoon role?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I mean, now supposedly according to what I read, it might not happen, but I mean, Marlins, they uh, I think it would have been more of a platoon role if they would have signed him. Kind of get Garrett Cooper has been a guy who when healthy he has as much power as anyone in baseball. Really, I mean, probably the an average baseball fan wouldn't know that, or even unless you really follow the Marlins, he can hit for 30 home runs in a year, but he can never stay healthy. And I think it would be to kind of just have him DH at times, and especially if Jorge Soler wasn't able to produce and stay healthy like he was last year, which he couldn't. It would kind of give them options. I wasn't a big
Mhm.
fan of if they were to sign him. I haven't been a fan of what the Marlins have been doing for a while now. It's just frustrating. But yeah,
Yang, I guess I feel like anyone has been a fan of what the Marlins have been doing. They've had a few rough seasons, but if you look at this team, I mean, this team is talented. Jorge Soler has power. Avisel Garcia has power. Gayla Cruz has been coming on later, at the end of last year. Garrett, we were just talking about Garrett Cooper if he can stay healthy. Jazz Chisholm Jr. Um, we traded Miguel Rojas for a prospect from LA, Jacob Amaya. You know, I mean, do you think we could go somewhere? I mean, if we figure out how to hit.
uh, that's uh, that's the key. Can this team create enough offense? I don't. To me, I think they're a 75-win ball club at the moment. You're putting your star player in a position he's never played before. And I mean, you ask anyone and with any, I mean, players who played the game have said, and you just look, I think his offense is going to, I'm talking in terms of Jazz now, his offense is going to dip because of it. I mean, you saw
Hmm.
Jesus Sanchez last year. I think Jesus Sanchez is a talented ball player, but the effect of just trying to learn, and he was already an outfielder, just trying to learn how to play center field. I mean, he just couldn't hit after. I mean, because it takes a toll. Um,
Right.
to me, you're starting second base is really kind of a first baseman, or he's not that good of a fielder. Um, your third baseman, Gene Segura, is really a shortstop's a second baseman, and then you're putting your shortstop is Joey Wendell, who's really a third baseman or a platoon guy, really. Uh, and then you're putting your best player, who's naturally he's been playing second, but naturally a shortstop. You're putting him in center field. It's just like they're kind of. I mean, to me, I look at the front office. I think Kim Yang, she's getting a little more time than what she should have. Now, I guess she got Jeter out of the way. She's getting a few execs, so now it's all on her. I'm not happy with what she's doing. I'm not happy with the new ownership at all, or
Hmm.
they're not really new anymore. But yeah, I mean, to me, that they're a 75-win ball club, but I think at the same time they could surprise everyone, and they're also in a division where you have other three teams are World Series contenders. So where are they going to find their wins? I don't know. You know.
Yeah. Now there have been rumors about the Marlins potential Bruce Sherman and company potentially selling the team. Um, but Bruce Sherman shot those rumors down in an interview. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been happy if he would sell. Just, I mean, I think he overpaid for the team in the first place, and I think he realized that
Hmm.
after the fact. I don't think you're also, like I said, you're in a division where the Mets are. I mean, they're just basically buying players off the shelf. The Phillies have the money to spend. The Braves, they're always going to put a good product on the field and be contenders. And then you have the Marlins who can't. They don't have the money, or they don't choose not to spend the money that's necessary to compete with these big market players, and they can't develop hitting for their life.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I I don't think he's gonna. Who knows? Maybe he will sell the team because he's losing money, even though I don't think any owner really loses money. But we'll see, I guess. I mean, I'm always going to be a Marlin fan. It's frustrating
Yeah.
to stay up to date with them through 162 games when you're going to be losing 90 to 100 games each season.
Now I do have one more question before we open it up to open discussion, and I'll let Evan kind of ask questions. And I'm a huge fan of this player, JJ Bleday. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, he you saw bright spots of him at times last year. You saw him also struggle. I think. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, I guess he's not a natural center fielder. I guess he's going to compete to get a corner outfield position. I think he'll probably be that fourth outfielder, or maybe he goes back down to the minors for a little bit before they bring him back up. I
Hmm.
don't know how many options he has left, but again, it seems like every prospect they bring up, they have a patch. The only Jazz is the one who has kind of been successful, and he's had injury issues throughout his career. So I think it remains to be seen. I'm rooting for the kid, and I hope he turns out well because I think he can be an integral part of that Marlins baseball team.
All right, so I'm gonna open it up to open discussion here. Evan, do you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, so right. So way back at the beginning, you mentioned you worked for the Heat and you worked for USF. What do you eventually want to end up doing? Maybe for a career. Have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, I mean, right now I work in football, or that's going to come to an end because I'm graduating soon. But I work in football here at USF, and that's great. I'm it's like basically you're on the team. I'm a student manager, but I want to eventually get into basketball operations. I worked with the Heat. It wasn't in basketball operations at all. It was more on the marketing side and stuff like that. But um, I'm not just saying this because I'm from Miami and I'm a Heat fan. They're one of the best organizations that I think you could work for, just in the work, beside not even in sports. I mean, everyone there is just, they're really good people, and I've made some great relationships there. So I hope to hopefully, my dream is to go back and work for them and get into,
Yeah, one of my neighbors, not NBA, but that'd be really cool. And I'm sure the process is similar. He went to North Dakota State and he helped coach basketball there. And then just in a couple of years, he's like the assistant coach there now. So definitely can work up and definitely can get to that level in basketball. A couple Marlins questions before I go, kind of piggybacking off what you guys said. You stated at one point that the Marlins just don't decide to spend that money. Like, obviously, they sign a lot of weird players, like Avisail Garcia, who's decent, but like the names that other people have had, they've signed Billy Hamilton, stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, like I guess my thing is I don't know if I completely agree with that. I kind of think that do you think they can spend the money and they're just choosing not to, or
Well,
can they just not spend the money because they're small market?
when I say they don't spend money, I'm just talking about just go sign a bat. Like go sign a center
They did
fielder.
just trade for a rise. That's
They
something.
did, but I mean, it's like, yes, they did that, and I'll give them that. But it's like, go solidify your bullpen. Like, you have the pitching staff, or in my opinion, you have the best pitcher in baseball right now, in my opinion, Sandy Alcantara. I mean, you talk about an age now where pitchers go 6, 7 innings or five. I mean, even 5 innings, and then it's kind of just whatever. I mean, this is a dude who every time I don't go to Marlins games. I'll watch them on TV. I'll go pay for a ticket to go see Sandy Alcantara, and we haven't had that since Jose Fernandez. May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
And me and my friend, we went to a couple of Sandy starts, and it's like we know we're getting 8, possibly 9 innings out of Sandy every time he's on the mound. I mean, I mean, so all they need to do is, and it's like you don't even want the bullpen to come in because they're going to blow the save, or it's like he's allowed 1 run and he's losing 1-0. So it's it's I mean, so I'm not
he's a true workhorse. Like he's a workhorse, and he has some nice movement on his pitches, which is something I like. Just last kind of question towards that is that because obviously you talked about this a little bit. You talked about how you feel the Marlins aren't quite there. You projected them at 75 wins. Jake, on one hand, always hypes them up. He says a couple years ago, he said we're going to win 90 games, and they won like 59 or something like that. So he's hard to hear by sometime. But what do you think? Because you have I think pitching with Alcantara, and that obviously you've got even some back end guys like Trevor Rogers who have been decent at points. The lineup still does need work, but Arise is a really good hitter. Is there at least room for optimism? Because like you said, your division's tough, but could sneak in a wild card,
Yeah. It's up to Abigail Garcia and Jorge Soler. As much as we could break it down, it's up to those two, because if those two can produce half of what they produced before they signed with the Marlins and hit 20 to 25 bombs and drive in close to 100 RBIs, all of a sudden your offense looks a whole lot better. And I mean, I think they still need to get a bullpen piece. I know they were rumored to get Chapman. Chapman, I think Aroldis is kind of past his prime, but even that would have been, I guess, it would have been something. It's just, and when I say spend money, I'm not talking about go sign a guy for $300 million. I'm just talking about, up until a couple of weeks ago, they literally had spent zero money in free agency or didn't even trade. Like, it was like they didn't do anything. It was kind of just like they're sitting there. But we'll see. Listen, like I said, I'm always going to root for the Marlins. I think they're pitching between Sandy Alcantara, Edward Cabrera. I think someone else to watch is Yuri Perez. He's 19 years old. He's getting a non-roster invite to spring training. I mean, as a 19-year-old, you have a bunch of guys who could be 1 and 2s and other rotations on your pitching staff starting. So the pitching is going to be there in terms of starting. You're going to get 6, 7, 8 innings consistently out of guys. It's going to be what can you get from the bullpen and what can you get from basically in the lineup from 4 to 9. There's 1, 2, and 3. Is going to be Jazz, Gene Segura, and what's the new guy's name? The second baseman.
Jacob.
I'm going. What? Jacob.
Luis Arise.
Yeah. Luis
Arise. Oh,
yeah.
You're talking about Arise. Yeah. I keep forgetting
no.
he's second for the Twins because I saw him play it a lot anyways. But all right, Ryan. Well, we do got to go. But anyways, it was a pleasure having you on. Come back once the Marlins season progresses. All right. It'll be fun.
I appreciate it.